Change Your POV podcast is about building confidence in your own beliefs, morals, and opinions while challenging yourself to be open, humble, and curious about things that you are unfamiliar with, don't have experience in, or straight up disagree with.
We will explore concepts and ideas that will challenge you physically, mentally, and spiritually. Personal introspection is among the greatest skill sets you will learn to hone. The foundation of your success is rooted in trust, gratitude, and forgiveness.
So join us as we explore things that we are unfamiliar with, strengthen things that we are, and are always challenging ourselves to become better.
Change Your POV podcast, where perspective is the vantage point of success.
3, 2, 1, clap.
We're getting pretty good at that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps line it up pretty well.
Fancy.
I mean, I still have to shift it left and right here and there, but that's fine.
So if people want to know what we're talking about as we enter the show, just a little behind the scenes, we record separately. And then Eddie, and when Eddie's not available to do so, Bennett, we edit the pieces so they match. And the way that we do that is a clap at the beginning. So it seemed like when we would use other programs, Eddie'd be like 3, 2, 1, record. And we would do that, and then it's 3, 2, 1, clap after that. But it always felt like one of our claps was like
Off. Yeah.
Even though it might not, it was like a delay. And with the software that we record with now, that doesn't seem like there's any delay. So our claps sync very well now.
And there was a post on social, I think it was Facebook the other day or maybe it might have been LinkedIn. I don't remember. No, it was Facebook. But there was people that were like, no, it was LinkedIn. So there was some people that were like, I'm about to start a podcast, and anybody out there have any good advice? And Dwayne France, who was once part of the Change Your POV podcast network, he chimed in and he mentioned me in LinkedIn. He was like, he offered some advice, and he mentioned me, and he says, I learned everything I learned everything about podcasting when I first started out from Eddie and Bennett, and it's just amazing because it seems like because we've been doing this for so long and it's second nature to us. There's still a lot of people out there that are just starting this journey and everything's brand new to them. They don't even know where to start. And I remember that feeling, that just being overwhelmed. Now it's so simple and so easy, right? But I think that's a testament to anything you want to do in life, right?
How many hours did we have to put in to figure, and I guess the best word to say is cobble it together,
right,
to make it work so we could fit it in a budget. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do, all kinds of things that you can do to improve this and that, but most of it costs money.
Right.
And the way that we do it, essentially it is free, other than time.
Right.
And I mean, like Anchor now, which we're switching everything over to Anchor. But we're still going to record the way that we record and then upload it into Anchor. Now, with Anchor, you can record right with Anchor. So what easier way, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The audio quality isn't... And this is one of those things, right? If you look at quality of audio, which is important to us, it's as important as we can make it, or it's important to make it as good as we can. So for us, this is what works. And, we have decent microphones, and most people would be like, oh, they're garbage, but I don't have $1,000 to drop on a mic. And nor do I want to.
I think that's
kind
the
of
thing,
defeats
though.
the purpose, right?
Yeah, I mean, but you and I use the same microphone, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I've seen because it seems like everyone's putting their YouTubes and putting it out on Rumble or whatever. There's like all these different platforms now that people are posting their podcasts on, the video side of it, like a vlog side of it.
Right, yeah.
or not vlog, but like a video podcast, and I've seen multiple people, even professional, they use the same mic that we have.
Right.
There is a version that's better than the one that we have that's made, but it looks identical.
Right.
Because I think it's the ATR 2600.
Yeah, it's probably the upgraded version of what we use. Yeah.
So,
I love that. I mean, this has been really the only thing that we've used since the beginning of time.
Well, I've owned 3 other mics, and none of them were as good. Even like the Blue Yeti, it shit the bed so fast. It was like, whatever. And supposedly it's probably the most overpriced paperweight I've ever had.
Yeah. And that Snowball, that thing was just awkward. It would just sit on the desk and just get in the way. And
super awkward. But it's a good traveling mic.
True, yeah. Right.
It's not the worst. So if we were like doing in-person stuff, it's a good mic to have as a backup. And then that one little travel mic that I had, that was awful.
Yeah, I had a little one too that would just, that was awful.
I mean, it would serve its purpose in a pinch, but it would you couldn't control audio levels on it. Remember that? How it would like swing? It was freaking weird. But anyway.
Yeah. That was so weird. So I guess the lesson is here, if you are interested in podcasting, don't make perfect the enemy of good, and you don't have to spend a ton of money. You just don't. Like I see these like guys that are selling their services. They learn how to podcast, and they're pitching you to buy like a $1,500 mixer and all this other shit. I'm like, like really?
Why do we need a mixer? I mean, I don't know. You know what? You and I never used it, so we don't know the advantages of it necessarily, if there is one. But I know people that swear by it. But maybe it's because we just never went there. Because yeah, I mean, and then the audio, the editing software that we use, you can manipulate all that stuff. Right. So if you really need to, but we usually don't. So
yeah, there's nothing that we can't do with what we have that makes me want to go, I need a mixer to do that.
Yeah. Let me drop a couple $100.
Yeah.
And awful. Why would I don't think that like a $300 podcasting kit is going to cut it. I just don't think that's the way. I just don't think that's the way to go. But maybe it is for you. Again, different strokes, different folks. But bringing up Dwayne France, give him a shout out. Dwayne France, Headspace and Timing podcast. But even more importantly, go check him out at veteransmentalhealth.com.
Yep. And
we always used to poke fun at him, like, how the hell did you get a hold of that URL? Like, how is that possible?
Right.
Veteranmentalhealth.com. I'm like, you paid like $1,000 for that, didn't you, Dwayne? We used to give him a hard time. But either way, he pulled it off, and that's what he does. That's literally his calling, and that's what he does for a living, is help veterans with their mental health. So if you've got issues and you want a good place to start, I can't think of a better place. And the best, absolutely unequivocally in my mind, the best title for a veteran mental health show than Headspace and Timing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because, I mean, you and I both know, those that have been in the military and understand the 50 caliber Headspace and Timing gauge.
Yep.
It's a play off of that, because at the end of the day,
it's what it is.
Right. At the end of the day, that's what he said. Without the headspace and timing gauge of your 50 cal, it's just a very, very heavy paperweight, right?
Yeah, it's like a vehicle weight.
Right. You've got to get the headspace and timing on your 50 cal correct before it will function.
You don't want to get blown away in a hurricane. Wrap yourself around one of those.
Right.
Ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. And that's what he's saying. When it comes to veteran mental health, it's no different, right? You got to get your headspace and timing correct if you want to function, correctly.
Great military analogy.
Yeah, man, really dig it. That's you seen the on LinkedIn they have this group. It's called Brilliant Ads, and they showcase some amazing advertisements for brilliant ads. And that's definitely one of them when we're talking about brilliant ads and marketing. That's spot on.
Yep.
Well done.
Well
Mr.
done,
Prince.
Dwayne.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, what do we have up on deck today, sir?
So, well, first we have chapter 9 of About Face.
We do.
Which, audio-wise, I'm on like chapter 13, I think.
Yeah, me too.
But what a giant book. What were we thinking when we decided to do this as like the first book? I mean, it's good for shows and shows.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Wow.
It's a great book.
But it is great. So, but
I dig it.
We want to jump into that.
Yeah, let's do it. So we're gonna jump into chapter 9. Don't look back of About Face, and then we're gonna talk in military news. We've got a couple of topics.
Yeah,
and
there's a well, since today is Martin Luther King Day, when we're recording.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over some stuff about Martin Luther King. And then I have one little thing that I want to touch on about the Capitol again, but we're not going down the rabbit hole because we're trying to get away from talking about, the political climate, at least for a bit.
Right.
And we have, at the end of the show, we'll talk about something new that we have coming, which is a brainchild of mine, but I've been, finally the climate brought out the title, and we'll talk about that later. It's pretty funny. So
yeah,
but it's
I like
good.
it.
Something we were doing anyway,
right?
But now we just kind of like made it a subsection of itself. So
yep. Come visit us over at changeyourpov.com. You could buy us a coffee. You could also check out some other links that we're going to be posting up there. And like Bennett already mentioned, we are going to be converting our show over to Anchor, but that doesn't mean much for you because it should be seamless. Hopefully
it is so far.
It is. Well, right now we technically have 2 shows. If you go to,
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. If you go to Spotify, you go to Change Your POV, you're going to get one feed, and if you go to Change Your Point of View, you're going to get a different feed.
Yeah.
So it's a little confusing right now, but we're working through it. Eventually, we're going to cut it all over to one, and you'll be able to just access it from one location.
Yes, sir. And we do have a store now at our website.
That's right.
So click on the giant tab that says store, and you can buy some swag. And if there's something special that you want, just let me know, and we can put it together probably.
Yes. I want a pair of I want
the yoga pants. I know
I
you
do. Yeah, yoga pants. Says Change Your POV across the ass.
We got it. I can make it.
You can make it?
I did. Yes, I can. I can make that happen.
And depending on the size of your ass, you can have it like a sentence going all the way across, or I'm just kidding.
That's amazing.
So it was funny because this weekend I took my daughter skiing for my birthday. And this was Saturday. I don't know what the weather was doing for you, but it was pouring ass raining out, right? And we went skiing, and before we were getting ready, and I had like a pair of like, what do you call them? They're like long johns, or what do you call it? Thermal wear,
like thermal underwear on.
Yeah, but it was like they were black and they were like leggings. They were just like yoga pants, and I have them on, and I'm like sporting around the house, and my daughter's
God.
My daughter's like, Dad, can you put on some other pants? I'm like, no. This is the
way I'm comfortable.
Like, this is what you put me through all day, every day with your skinny, whatever, your leggings, your yoga pants. I was like, can you imagine if all the guys in the world would just wear, yoga pants?
Just rose up and we're like, yep, we're wearing leggings too.
Just walk through Walmart and have everybody stare.
That would just be ugly, bro. Again.
No, but it's like serious. It's like, this is ladies, listen. Not all of you ladies should be wearing.
It's true.
This shit, right? This is the pain you put us through.
This is absolutely true.
Right?
Whew, baby. Especially, why'd you have to say that at Walmart? What's wrong with Walmart?
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. That's the best. That's the best place to watch.
It's like a whole blog waiting. Like, I think there is a blog that's like new visions from Walmart or something. Dude, and the pictures are just horrendous.
Every time I go to Walmart, my eyes just are amazed at what they see.
Yeah, if you want
to
see, it's like Barnum and Bailey Circus, man.
Yes.
It's like P.T. Barnum's like Museum of Oddities. It's head to Walmart in Orlando, Florida, and see what happens.
So there's two things that blow my mind when I go to Walmart. One is the overly stretched yoga pants on some of our ladies out there. And then the other one is, and this one I really don't understand, and it's skinny jeans that are hanging off of guys' asses.
Yeah, what is up with that?
I don't understand. And they all have belts, too.
Correct. And they have belts, but yet literally the belt is below their ass cheeks.
Right.
And they have like a pair of sweatpants on under the...
Yeah.
They must be wearing leggings under their tight jeans.
And
their
that's the
skinny
one
jeans.
thing that bugs me more than anything is like when my pants start to sag. I hate that. So I don't know how these people could like think that this is cool and to waddle around like a penguin. I don't understand. I don't get
Whatever. I blame Justin Bieber.
To each his own. Okay, now that we got that out of our system.
Chapter 9.
Yes.
Don't look back.
Don't look back. Especially if it's like you're passing somebody at Walmart and they're wearing some shit they shouldn't. Don't look back.
Because half the leggings you can see through.
Right,
It's
exactly.
horrific.
Yeah, they're not even leggings anymore. They're like net stockings.
They are. That's how stretched out they are. Okay. We're going to get in trouble.
Oh, my God.
Don't look back. When First Lieutenant Hackworth reported to me at the north rim of the Punch Bowl late one October afternoon in 1952, I remember returning his casual but soldierly salute with the immediate thought of what a wonderful, cheerful grin. Later, I would call him the Happy Warrior. He was that. We spent 1 or 2 days and nights together. For me, it was a stimulating and interesting professional time, and from this brief episode, I came to think of Hack as one of the infantry officers who epitomized the best in combat leadership. His background was rough and his education incomplete, but to my mind, he brought the skills, attitude, and courage to the American battle effort that West Point tried to indoctrinate in her graduates. 33 more years of experience have not changed my view. Colonel Joseph B. Love, U.S. Army retired company commander, Gulf 5th Infantry Regimental Combat Team, Korea, 1952. And then we called him Hack. He was one of the boys. We did respect his rank, though, and everybody respected him because he'd been around and he was good, and he kept us alive. UNO Rentmeister, squad leader. Uno Rentmeister, that's a hell of a name. Uno Rentmeister, squad leader. Fox, 223rd Infantry, Korea, 1952 to 1953.
This is interesting. The more we read about Hackworth, the more lessons that we can learn out of his experience. And I think one of the things just right off the bat not just from this chapter, but from the book in general is he didn't let his lack of education really hinder his drive to do what he knew he could do and do what he knew was right. And I think a lot of people that are listening to this, myself included, once upon a time, I was like, I had it in my head that there were certain things that were beyond my reach because I didn't have the right education, or they were beyond my reach because I didn't have the right experience, or they were beyond my reach because I didn't have the right, knowledge, or whatever the case may be. And I think that although there's some truth to that, I think we oftentimes set limits much closer than where they really should be. And we put limits on ourselves, right? We talk about limiting beliefs, and we talk about that, but I think it goes for what we want to do and pursue in our life too, whether it be relationships or professional working life or career, etc. I just think sometimes we are our own worst enemy when it comes to that. What do you think?
Yeah. It's like there's different ways to be educated. And just because you have a degree, I mean, it means that you've had some level of book smart, maybe, that you've had to
Yeah.
regurgitate. Let's be honest. Education is not, some education is not really education. It's the memorization of facts that you then spew on a test, and they give you a grade, and then you brain dump it.
Right.
How
Yeah,
often
yeah.
did that happen? Or does
Oh,
that
I mean-
happen in class?
Oh my God! Like so, I got my master's degree, and one of my or two classes that were required were one of them was quantitative analysis, and the other one was qualitative analysis. And let me tell you, bro, after I got done with those classes, whoo, talk about brain dump. I would like never, ever, ever gonna do those formulas again in my life. No way in hell.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's people out there that like eat that stuff up, but for me, that was
Absolutely, it has its
challenging.
place, but it doesn't.
Right.
You know, the I don't know, what would you call it? Like the establishment. You know, this is what you need. Education.
Right.
It's becoming less and less important every single day. Frankly, oh,
Yeah.
you have a well-rounded degree in humanities, you know, or liberal arts. When I don't know. It didn't cut it for me.
Yeah.
I always look for education, and I mean, I take freaking classes that are offered by Cornell or MIT. Pick a school, right?
Right.
Pick a
Yeah.
school, any school, and you can take a lot of those courses for free online. You just don't get credit for it. So
Right.
what does that mean for education? I'm learning the material. I'm taking tests, right?
Yeah.
My thing is I retain a lot of this shit, especially with historical stuff, and it's because that's what sticks for me.
Right.
It's
I guess
interesting to me.
I guess the differentiator is: are you learning for the sake of becoming educated and learning, or are you learning for the sake of getting that sheepskin to hang on the wall?
I think
right?
that is what ends up happening, because if you have that sheepskin, it opens doors.
True.
And there's plenty of jobs out there that they won't even look at you unless you have a bachelor's. Nowadays, it could be a bachelor's literally in underwater basket weaving,
yeah.
but you know what I mean? At least
Yeah.
that opens the door. So I always do say, if you're able and you can get through it, frankly, because it was tough for me
Yeah.
to get that sheepskin, it's going to open doors, but do not put all your worth in the fact that you have a degree or a supposed education, because you can have a PhD and just be one of the dumbest people I've ever met.
Right.
Because
I
that's
see,
the
that's-
truth. It does happen because just because, and again, like you have what life experience do you have at that point? You have
Right.
college. That's what you have, and literally 8 years of it.
Yeah.
You might have some internships and stuff like that, and that's great. And maybe you took a break. Maybe you actually have a career, and then you decided to go back to school. But
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the reason I went back to school. My goal was to get a sheepskin, open up doors of opportunities for positions that I wanted to you know what I mean? I wanted to better my career and get a better job. So for me, it truly was about the sheepskin. But what ended up happening is, after I got the sheepskin, through that process, I really fell in love with learning, with becoming, you know what I mean?
I agree.
And I continue, even to this day, I find ways to educate myself, and it's more than the sheepskin. I've got the sheepskin. It's not, I don't need that anymore. It's not like I'm looking for more degrees. I guess, once you get that sheepskin, a lot of people are like, I got four bachelor's degree and 3 master's degree. Like, really? Because
Got a lot of
very-
student loans too at that point.
Exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
because GI Bill only pays for so much.
Yeah. So I just fell in love with the process of learning, which was weird because I did really, really poorly in high school. I hated school.
Yeah,
I
me too.
hated it.
Same.
And I think just once I grew up and became more mature, and I really started to see not just the advantages of education, but how it helped me I mean, it sounds so cliche, and that's the name of the show, but change your perspective, right? By becoming more educated, I really learned more about myself, and I learned more about my background and my history, and I just became more appreciative of the military, and it's just so many things, right? And I think the one book that I read, I think you read it too, that really demonstrates this very well, is a book called Education. Have you read that one?
Yeah, I listened to the first 2 chapters of it, and I never got back to it. It didn't catch me the same way it caught you. So
yeah. So it was.
It doesn't mean I won't finish it. It just,
Yeah, it's a biography, or what is it? A biography, or
I'd say it's a biography. Well, I mean, it's like just a book that she writes, and
it's about
she uses
herself,
her
right?
experiences to teach about education.
Yeah, so she basically grew up in the mountains of, I want to say it was Washington or Montana or something, and at the end of the day, her parents they were basically in a cult is maybe a bad word.
I mean, they're like evangelical.
Yeah, but they were very very ideological type of. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like what
beliefs.
Some people would. It's what like one of the stereotypes would be like of the Mormons.
Right. Correct.
But they were Christians, and which
right.
I mean that's a whole nother show. Yeah. Anyway, yes. So, like an evangelical, like hardline Christian family / cult.
Yes, definitely cultish, but that's the way she was raised, and she believed that, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but basically, the more she had an opportunity to go to school, and she went to school, and then that opened up doors, and turns out she was actually really smart, and she ended up, the more education she got, the more her mind was open to the way that the rest of the world operates and thinks, and the more she started to question the way she was raised and her beliefs. And it's just constantly a battle between her internal beliefs and what she was learning about in the world. And it really kind of shows, the book kind of goes through this evolution of the way that she thinks about herself and the world as she becomes more educated, which is ultimately the name of the book, Education. But I just found that book absolutely, I loved that book. I just really enjoyed it. It's one of those books where I could listen to it a couple of times and never get tired of it. It does. I mean, if you didn't like, I don't know, maybe it's one of those things where if you don't, it doesn't catch you right away. I can see how you could kind of turn away from it and not come back. But I definitely recommend it if anybody's interested in learning more about it or checking it out. It was like the New York Times bestseller a couple years ago. I think it was on Reese Witherspoon's book club of the month or something too. So a lot of good reviews. Just go check it out. Anyway, not to get off track here. So one of the things about this book, in this chapter, Don't Look Back. So Hackworth basically ends back up in essentially where he's trying to get back to where he was before he left the military the first time, and he comes back in, and he's essentially trying to get back to his infantry days. He wants to get back into leading an infantry platoon, and he wants to get back out into combat, essentially. And he's finding that more difficult to do than he thinks it should be. And he ends up at this unit, and
it's a stopgap. It's like a stopgap position.
Right. He's trying to get back with the Wolfhounds, which is the unit he basically left when he, transitioned out. So he's there he is. So this general says, "Glad you're here, Lieutenant Hackworth. Come inside. Would you? I want to have a few words with you." I followed him into the office. He guided me to a chair. "Now, why is it you don't want to belong to my outfit?" Because this is, before this, he was just like freaking out. He's like, "I want to be in the Wolfhound." He asked. The voice was cool and quiet and smooth and rosy against the shock of a white hair, kind of Santa Claus. There was a magic twinkle in his eyes, brighter even than the 2 stars on each of his lapels. Major General Joe Cleland, the man who had become my unsolicited patron, drew up a chair beside me. He listened intently as I told him I was a 27th man, a Wolfhound, and that I'd come back to Korea to fight, not to play nursemaid to a bunch of NG third-string weekend warriors. And NG is National Guard, for those of you who don't know. Cleland smiled. He knew the Wolfhounds, and he knew what I was talking about. But you have to remember, he told me, there are no bad outfits, only bad officers. He said he was now getting the pick of the best, and the 40th would be exactly what he had his collection of warrior leaders made of it. I could go back to the Wolfhounds, he continued, those merry eyes dancing, but only if I wanted to be the second best in Korea. So a couple of things. One, he's kind of playing on his, it's kind of some psychological games he's playing on him, right? You can go back to the Wolfhounds only if you want to be part of the second best, unit in the U.S. Army or in Korea. Otherwise, you need to come to this unit. But I think one of the things there is there's no bad units, only bad officers, and that's essentially a direct theme that we read in Jocko's book Extreme Ownership and Dichotomy of Leadership, where he says there's no bad units, only bad leaders, right? And that's true for the military, but it's also true in our everyday life and in our working environment as well, right? So whether you're a individual contributor and you work as part of a team, or you are a manager and you've got a couple of directs, or maybe you're a director and you're a manager of managers and you've got an entire department, or whatever the case may be, the thing to keep in mind is there's no bad units. There's only bad leaders. And sometimes that bad leader is you. And you've got to really take a hard, long look in the mirror and do some introspection, right? And I don't think anybody goes through life trying to be a bad leader. I just think that a lot of people don't put a lot of stock into how they could become a better leader than they are today, right? And I think that's where it is. I think everyone owes it to themselves and to their team and to their people to do whatever they can to try to up the game a little bit. And I mean, let's be honest with you. Leadership within an organization, whether it be a military organization or civilian organization, it doesn't come naturally to most people. And so it's something that you've got to educate yourself in and learn how to do better. Would you agree with that?
Yes, for sure.
And there's a lot of ways we can do that. There's a lot of education out there. But, I mean, well, I guess you could become a better leader just through experience. But if you don't have a mentor or somebody that's coaching you through that, I don't know if experience alone is going to give you the tools you need to be a good leader. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, the tools to become a good leader, that's just there's so many ways to get those, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, especially with Hackworth, he was just able to pick them up. And that's one of those arguments between a natural leader and a educated, creative leader.
I think with Hackworth was self-driven, but I think he was guided into good leadership.
Well, of course. And are you? I mean, I don't know if that's something that you and I have talked about. Really, are leaders born or are they made? And I think there's both. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think you have people that have an interest in. It's like for example. Take captains of sports teams like in high school, right? In most cases, those captains are people that just naturally thrive in a leadership role, right?
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that they're infallible and they don't make mistakes. But it also means that they've got really good coaches and mentors in their corner that's able to. I think one of the greatest qualities of being a good leader is somebody that's able to take criticism. Because, I mean, even your professional sports players, people that have been, I mean, Tom Brady, right? Arguably probably one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL, right?
Yeah,
but
of all time.
Right? But guess what? He still has a coach.
Yeah,
even to this day, he still has a coach that's coaching him and talking to him and pointing out things that he can't see about himself, right? And
yeah, because you can't see you can't see everything about yourself,
right.
Duh. It just
right. And I think that's what's the difference between a good leader and a great leader is, or even a potential leader and a good leader is you got to have somebody in your corner. You got to have mentors and leaders within your wheelhouse that are able to able and willing to guide you, and you've got to listen to them. Like, here's a perfect example.
Right.
When I was with a different company a couple companies ago, it was a defense contracting company, and there was a young man that I had kind of taken underneath my wing and coached and mentored him, and he saw a lot of great success. And I just kind of got him headed in that direction, right? But then I ended up leaving that company and going somewhere else. But he continued down that path, and he continued to grow, and he continued to develop, and he continued to take on more responsibility, and finished his education, and did, basically did all those things that I was recommending that he do along the way. And now he's at a point where he's looking at, a different position within a different organization, making a lot more money with more responsibility. And, he called me up the other day and was like, hey, I just want some guidance and direction because, so I still continue to mentor him, even though he's not my direct report anymore. And that's good because he recognizes that he can't see everything himself, and he wants some outside eyes and influence to not tell him what to do, but to offer recommendations. And that's really what it is. You got to be open to looking at things differently and being open to recommendations, being open to changing one's behavior, right, in order to find something better in yourself and with your situation than you could prior. And I think people that are closed off to mentorship and to guidance they're limiting themselves. They're limiting their potential. And it's unfortunate because I think there's a lot of people out there that could be really, really amazing leaders and amazing. You even take politicians. I mean, not to turn political here, but I think a lot of what these politicians could use more of, and that's outside constructive criticism and a little bit more of an open mind, right?
Well, I mean, you have a guy. All right, so they talk about somebody that Hackworth talks about a decent amount in this book is General Cleland.
Yeah, Cleland. Yep.
Whose middle name was Pringle, by the way.
What? Pringle?
Joseph Pringle Joe Cleland.
Wow. Okay.
So he's he had like a tumultuous military career as well. On top of that, he retired after 30 years of service, but there was a time, it's hard to find exactly what happened, but he was obviously a general. But he was born in 1901, went to military school, entered the military academy at West Point in 1925, right? Wow. So been around a while. Commissioned as an infantry officer, went to, all the different places, Manila, the Philippines, and a bunch of different places as an Army officer until then. He obviously was part of World War II, shortly after Pearl Harbor, he was assigned as the assistant military attaché to Colombia. And then did some time, it looks like he became the chief of staff of the 43rd Infantry Division in 1943 and was basically participated in New Georgia, New Guinea, and the Luzon campaigns. Then he commanded the 103rd Infantry Regiment and commanded one of 4 regiments landing abreast on Luzon in the I can't even say it, Lig Yuan Gulf. So He was in the Pacific, obviously, right? So did his time. So crazy part about once he gets into Korea, or after 1946, for the demobilization, and then in January 1946 was ordered to Chile as the military attaché, right? Mm-hmm. In October 1947, now demoted to colonel. Mm. So he went from brigadier general to colonel, actually lieutenant colonel.
Jesus. That's a hell of a demotion,
Now, why was he demoted?
You go from a 3-star general
was it because
to
they got rid of like half the army?
Right.
After World War II? Is that maybe what it was? But whatever. And then he decided he wanted to stay in, and they're like, well, the only way you can stay is you get demoted.
Oh.
or something like that. I don't know. It's not clear. And then in April 1950, he volunteered for airborne, and after completing jump school at Fort Benning, commanded the 504th Airborne Infantry at Bragg.
Okay.
51 went to 508th Regimental Combat Team, and moving to Fort Benning, promoted to Brigadier General again, and Assistant Division Commander of the 82nd Airborne. But then he went to 40th Infantry, which is a National Guard unit in Korea, and then pinned on his second star. Well, this is when him and Hackworth were,
Right.
whatever. But what a tumultuous career. So who knows of all the details and shit that he went through too? It seems as though he wasn't probably some typical general.
Right. Doesn't sound like it.
And this is why probably Hackworth kind of, and he saw what he saw in Hackworth, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now he ended up from 53 to 55 commanded the 18th Airborne Corps, and then retired. But then lived all the way to 1975. So 1902, so what, that 73?
Yep.
But seems as though he had, just from the timeline there, it seems like there was a tumultuous career with who knows what going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just that type of stuff rubbing off on Hackworth, or Hackworth, obviously inspiring the general, among other people. It just kind of says a lot without saying a lot. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. I think your point. I think this. He saw a lot of himself in Hackworth, I think, and that's why.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Because Hackworth was, kind of going against the grain a little bit.
Yeah,
constantly.
and with the middle name Pringle.
Right.
Yes. Again, there's a lot going on.
All right. Time to transition into our segment 2, military news. This week, Bennett and I will talk about, a couple of things. First one is the U.S. The COVID-19 death toll is on track to surpass World War II military casualties. Can you believe this?
Well, so I was trying to read it all, and the nation is on track this week to hit 25 million coronavirus cases reported and more than 400,000 deaths. Now, the Defense Department has put the total number of combat and non-combat deaths in World War II at 405,000.
Right.
So they're talking, but see, more specifically, this is U.S. deaths.
Right.
It's not
Correct.
total deaths.
Right.
That's just for the U.S. Because total deaths for World War II, holy hell.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
way more.
even.
Yeah, if you talk about the Jews and you talk about the genocide.
Well,
and
just
all that, we're talking millions.
the worst hit, frankly, were the Russians. They just literally lost. I think some estimates have up to 25 million people.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, but if you put it into perspective, right? If World War II U.S. deaths are estimated at 405,000, and we're currently at 400,000 deaths in the U.S. for the COVID-19. Now you got to remember, now World War II lasted for a few years, and COVID-19 really hasn't even been a full year yet.
For sure.
So we've lost a lot more in a shorter period of time than the deaths of World War II. So. And a lot of people would argue that, not all those deaths were probably from COVID. Some of them are undiagnosed or diagnosed as COVID when they probably were something else. Okay, fine. Even if you give that a 10% kind of variance, you're still dealing with almost 500,000 people died in this country in under a year due to this pandemic, right? So people are like, the COVID-19 is not real. It's like,
it is real. I mean, you can't really deny it.
Well, there's people that I talk to that are still like, it's not real. It's not a real thing.
Where does that come from? Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about, because this is part of this issue that I've been harping on for a bit, is just misinformation.
Yeah.
Right? So why are people still denying it?
I don't know. Because at the end of the day, man, there's people out there that just feel that anything that's reported is a conspiracy.
Well,
right?
because they've lost confidence in the media.
Right.
And there's multiple reasons for that, and they're not all Trump.
I agree.
By any stretch of the imagination, but there's a lot of people that were listening that are listening, because I've taken a lot of heat for this week.
Well, that's the thing, is I don't believe what CNN says any more than Fox News.
No, absolutely, because they're both just wrong. They're telling they're telling literally like stories from the opposite ends of the spectrum through their own lenses. And
exactly
what people have to understand is that you as well, everyone looks at life through a certain lens. And the key is, and this is the what Eddie and I harp on and teach constantly, is building, what's the right word, Eddie? Training yourself to see situations from all sides, not just your own. This is where like what Eddie had brought up during the Hackworth segment. Tom Brady still has a coach.
Right.
So figure out to make it so you have your own coach inside your head, where your self-reflection and introspection, you're able to look at things more critically from an outside perspective than just your own. And you can't do that unless you open yourself up to these things.
Right. Now, did you watch the show? I just recently watched the series Manhunt: Deadly Games on Netflix.
I have not, but my mother-in-law watched it, and she gave me the lowdown last night, and that I should watch it. So
you should. So it's really good, because it really shows a lot about that whole situation that you just don't really understand. You didn't really know unless you're familiar with it, like close to the case. And ultimately, you have somebody that Eric Rudolph, right, which was put on not actual trial, but in the news was put on trial in the media as essentially the Olympic Park bomber, right? He was the one that actually found the bomb in the Olympic Park and kind of diverted people away from where the bomb was. So when it did detonate, it did kill one and wound over 100 people with like nails and shrapnel and shit that was in the bomb, but saved a ton of people's lives, right, as a result. And the reason I bring this up is because all of the media outlets at the time he was never charged, he was never arrested, but he was absolutely convicted in the media as essentially the bomber, right? And it destroyed his life. Like, he couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't go shopping. He got assaulted multiple times. Like, it just destroyed him. And then he was finally approached by 60 Minutes and was asked if he would go on 60 Minutes and tell a story. And at first he was like, why would I agree to come on to yet another news outlet? Because he did that previously with other news outlets and was just basically just crucified, right, in the media. And the guy in the 60 Minutes looked at him and says, because here at 60 Minutes, we don't chase ratings. We're not interested in leaning one way or the other. Right. We want to hear your story, and we want America to just decide for themselves, right? And I just found that was such a profound moment in that series, where it's just like, we don't chase ratings, and it's just like, aha, ding, 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 like all the flags start going off in my head, right? These media outlets, they are all chasing ratings, because ratings means advertisements mean money, and let's be honest, it's more about being profitable than it is about telling the truth. Right. About telling the actual story. Yeah. And ultimately what ended up happening is he agreed to go on 60 Minutes, and they weren't easy on him. They let him have it, but they let him tell his story, and ultimately, right there on on the news on 60 Minutes, he was exonerated for his role as the bomber, and they ended up catching the actual guy, Rudolph, Eric Rudolph, who later admitted and pled guilty to not only the bomb in Atlanta for the during the Olympics, but also a couple of other bombings in in Atlanta and some other places. But anyway, really, really good show. If you haven't watched it already, highly recommend that you do that. But it's really, going back to what you said, right? Develop a skill to educate yourself, to take in. Now, I'm not saying don't watch the news. I'm not saying don't pay attention to what's going on.
But if you want to find what you're going to do, you got to find first source info.
Right. You got to make your own. You got to make up your own mind.
Yeah.
And not be so influenced by what everyone else is saying. Right.
So how do we do this? Like, one of the ways that we can do this, and I'm going to tie this back to the Corona headline.
Yes.
Right? So one of the best ways to do this is to, instead of reading a headline and then reading an article, whether it's from USA Today or Patriot News or factcheck.org or whatever, you know what I mean? There's so many different news outlets now, half of which are complete bullshit. Just so you know that, folks. I mean, there has to be, as soon as so here's my thing. I have debunked so many claims. This is left and right. Debunked so many claims, and I do this because then it allows me to rule out news sites on whether they're complete bullshit or whether they actually use journalistic tools. Right.
Yeah.
So like there's, and I'm not going to talk about websites. I'm not going to say, oh, this is what I look at and this is what I don't, because I'm not promoting any of this shit. I'm promoting you getting your head out of your ass and doing some of your own work and research. Well, people are like, well, I don't have time to do that. Then maybe you just need to shut the fuck up. And stop regurgitating bullshit on both sides.
I'm too lazy to make up my own mind.
Correct,
I want to be a lemming.
Because if you can watch a 4-hour freaking Schitt's Creek marathon,
right,
then you can do this work and be actually informed instead of just bullshit. Oh, well, I went through the Drudge Report and it said this and this article said that. See, they curate the news for me.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry. I get all my news on Reddit.
Right. Or whatever. It's like, come on, people. Yeah. Jesus Christ. So, like, all right. So there's a lot of shit that swirls around, misinformation that swirls around COVID-19. And if it's real.
Yeah. Right.
Well, of course it's real. It is killing people. And yes, it is a coronavirus. It is. I'm not going to get into the technical bullshit of it, but at the end of the day, it is different. It's not just the flu. It does attack certain people differently. Bottom line, a lot of that has to do with underlying health conditions and also the current healthfulness of you and your body. Okay. Yeah. Do you supplement? Do you eat right? Do you work out? Do you not? Do you have diabetes? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's so many different factors. And you know what? My daughters have been on quarantine for the past week. They just got off Friday because we had a negative COVID test and were able to finally come off quarantine. Not me, but two of my daughters, which I had locked up in their rooms, basically.
Nice.
But the two friends that they were exposed to that had it, they were so sick that they almost went to the hospital, and they're both 15.
Wow.
Like, not breathing, couldn't taste, couldn't smell, fevers, just ill, couldn't breathe. Right? So saying it's not real, wait till it's one of your kids that can't breathe and then see how you feel about it. Or go tongue kiss somebody with it and get it yourself. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Right? I haven't had it, but I also am of the mindset, and this is a whole nother show amongst itself, I'm not going to get it.
Right.
Okay? I don't care. Just say what you want. You can call me complete bullshit, but I'm not getting it. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother show. So, with that being said, people are getting sick. People are dying. So you start fact checking things, and there's been plenty of stuff like, no, we have no increase in deaths in the U.S. Between 2019 and 2020, or you look at 2018 numbers and 2020, they've just misdiagnosed, and every death is a COVID death. And that's just not the case. It's not true. If you go to the CDC website, you would see that. You can find it. You have to dig, though, for these numbers. Well, I don't trust the CDC. Well, then I don't know what to tell you, man. You're on your own. You're on your own then. Because then you should just move to a tiny home in the, mountains of Idaho and have fun with the rest of your life. I don't know what to tell you at this point, because you don't want to hear what I have to say. You don't want to hear what anyone has to say. This sounds like a personal problem to me, right?
Right, yeah.
So with this being said, they're looking at this possibly, because it's 2021 now, but the CDC hasn't put all these numbers together. They're pretty good at it too, everyone.
Yeah.
But we're looking in the ballpark of 3.2 million deaths nationwide, which is some sort of record. Now, this is not just an uptick in all COVID deaths, but there is a pretty statistically concurrent or congruent, that's a better word, congruency between the increased deaths and COVID deaths, right?
Right.
Number one. But they also know that there's plenty of increased deaths in other places, and that doesn't shock me either. The rates of suicide are all higher. Well, duh. We're in the middle of a pandemic. They shut down the economy. How many people have gone bankrupt? How many people have lost their jobs? How many people have lost their homes? Well, they haven't lost their homes yet, but they will.
Right.
So in turn, we already have a decent rate of suicide. Of course, it's going to increase. We don't have those numbers yet, but of course, that number has increased. Overdose deaths. That's another one that we've talked about, that those are up a lot. I mean, the CDC numbers on that there were more than 81,000 overdose deaths in the 12 months ending from May 2019 to May of 2020. That doesn't even include the rest of this year yet, or the rest of 2020. Right.
Yeah.
So just in that section, you're talking 81,000 overdose deaths.
Oof, Jesus.
Right? So, I mean, that's pretty significant.
Pretty staggering.
So, and that is higher than normal by a decent amount. And I was trying to find the other overdose numbers, and I couldn't, not in this short amount of time. I could find them another time, but I know that it's substantially more.
Right.
So, I mean, just the overdose from involving cocaine overdose increased 26.5%. Overdose deaths involving like methamphetamine increased 34.8%. So, I mean, you're talking serious numbers. 18 jurisdictions reported increases greater than 50%.
Ooh, Jesus.
So,
that's a lot.
So yeah. So of course we don't know the exact numbers yet, but damn.
Yeah, man.
So it's not just so that this is what we have. We don't say, obviously we're not saying that those deaths are because of the virus. Of course they're not, but they absolutely contributed to the increased deaths. Now, of course, that's not part of the COVID number deaths.
Right.
So the COVID number deaths are the COVID number deaths. Especially, let's address the fact that, oh, well, if they were in a car crash and they tested positive for COVID during their autopsy, they would call it a COVID death. You know what? Maybe there was tons of that. Maybe there was, but at the end of the day, let's just say that you had 100,000. I'll give it 100,000. 100,000 misinterpretations of death put on death certificates, right? Yeah. We're still at 300,000 deaths because we're at 400,000 now.
Right.
We're still at
Right.
300,000 deaths. It's still 1% of the population, roughly.
Right. That's a lot.
When you coincide it with actual confirmed cases, right?
Right.
It's still a lot of people. I mean, my God. I mean, the Spanish flu, it could have been way worse. And this is the other thing I want people to understand. Take a deep breath. It could have been way worse. The Spanish flu is so much worse than this. Now, there's different things because of, medical stuff was not the same. It's just not the same time. It's not the same country. It's a totally different virus, right?
Yep.
But, you're talking about, they don't even know. Death estimates range between 17 to 100 million worldwide.
Oof. Right.
So, just absolute insanity.
You can't even dig holes and bury people fast enough.
No, they literally were digging mass graves.
Right.
For the Spanish flu.
Ugh, that's awful.
And it was way more virulent. It literally would kill people in 24 hours.
Right.
So, like, if they got it, the next thing you know, they're literally dead in 24 hours.
God.
And you have a lost generation almost. You have so many orphans that came out of this because the targeted the highest death rate was in the age range 18 to 45.
Right.
It wasn't like killing old people out of whatever or young people. It was, awful shit, man.
Well, thank God we're not living in those times.
You ain't kidding. But as a pandemic severity, this 1918 flu was a 5. In pandemic severity.
5 out of what? What's the scale?
Well, it's hold on. So the pandemic severity index was proposed classification scale for reporting the severity of influenza pandemics in the United States, and the PSI was accompanied by a set of guidelines intended to help communicate appropriate actions to communities to follow potential pandemic situations, right?
Yeah.
So it's a scale that runs from 1 to 5, and like a category 1 is like a seasonal flu, like the 2020 like the 2009 swine flu.
Yep. Right.
That's a 1. Asian flu or Hong Kong flu is like a 2, but the 1918 pandemic, influenza pandemic, was a 5.
What is the COVID pandemic?
They don't
today?
know yet. They're not sure yet. They haven't been.
It's probably not a 5, but it's not a 2, right?
But it's also not it's also not a flu. So
okay.
They're going off a different.
Got it.
So
in other news, we're transitioning over into what's happening on the day this show releases on January 20th, 2021, is the inauguration of Joe Biden. And lots of reports out there. The FBI is currently vetting guard troops in D.C. amid fears of insider attack. So they've already put up a wall, right? Well, a fence, right? A perimeter around the Capitol in preparation for the inauguration. And, of course, they're staffing that with an influx of National Guard and other military. I mean, it looks literally like I've seen pictures of it. It looks like the green zone in Baghdad.
yeah, it's
like
crazy.
legit. Right. But they're like, okay, it's not enough to put up a wall. It's not enough to bring in military. We've got to make sure that we vet everybody, all the military folks, to make sure that there's no do we really think that there's a militia inside of our National Guard that's going to turn arms the other direction?
Well, I mean, there were a couple of the people that went into the Capitol, right? There were a couple of them that were, some were veterans.
Well, did you know that?
Obviously,
that
two
guy
of the
with
people that died were veterans.
You know the guy with the horns?
Yeah,
So
Navy vet. I don't even want to go into it.
He was a Navy vet, and I guess his career ended when he refused to receive the anthrax vaccine.
Yes, and he also complained about not being able to, that the prison didn't have organic food.
Right. Now, yes.
Typical Navy vet.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
put that out there. Little
And the other
sling at
guy-
our Navy friends.
And the other guy that had the helmet and the flex cuffs, retired Air Force Lieutenant
Colonel, right?
Right?
There were a couple folks that have been arrested that were also National Guard. So,
Right.
and police.
So
One guy was
right.
a cop and a National Guardsman. So
there was two guys from Seattle, Washington, two cops from Seattle that were arrested and lost their jobs. They were police officers.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
so I guess
it's this is a tough situation.
it is. I guess they've got. I mean, if you're the FBI, you don't want to not do this, and then all of a sudden something happened, and then the
Right.
fingers are pointed back at you, saying, "Well, why didn't you do that?"
I mean,
right?
part
So
of the
it makes
part of the
sense.
issue with the whole freaking thing was like, it's hard to say. Like, you hear the media, right, fanning
Yeah.
the flames of this thing, that it was just like the worst thing since Pearl Harbor, or I mean, that actual analogy was made, and
Yeah,
that to me is
I
kind of
don't know.
disturbing.
That is. I don't think that's not even close. Do
Yeah,
you?
no, I don't, because yes, there may have been people with nefarious ideas, and they may be batshit crazy people, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and yes, it's tragic, people lost their lives doing this, but there's literally pictures and video of people staying inside the velvet ropes.
Right.
Like, not smashing stuff. There were people that were doing that. That's not what I'm saying. But again, to blanket statement all of this, there's an 80-year-old grandmother waving an American flag. On the flip side of that, there is people carrying the Confederate battle flag through the Senate chambers. That kind of shit bothers me.
Right.
And that's the issue. So again, it's another situation that polarizes this to such a point. And I've been fighting, fighting a battle's a dramatic way of saying it, having conversations on social media about free speech this past week.
Well, so let me ask you. So free speech. Right now, the Army is investigating a Fort Bragg soldier for attending rally that ended in the U.S. Capitol breach. She is a captain. I believe she was part of a psychological operations unit,
Yep.
and she ended up getting a bus
Yeah.
full of bunch
she
of
organized
soldier.
She organized
Right?
an event to go to the event, right?
Right. Now, okay, so she's claiming she's there peacefully practicing her right of free speech. But let me ask you, now, your honest opinion, do men and women in uniform that have raised their right hand, basically, do you as a active duty or, serving in as a National Guard or whatever the case may be, if you're in uniform, do you technically still have that same right of free speech?
Of course
as
you do. Of course you do.
But do you have the
Not while
same
you're in
right
uniform.
but do you have the same rights to practice your? You know what I mean?
I do, and I agree that yes, you do.
I don't know. I think I disagree.
I think that as long as you are there as not a member of the armed services and you are not wearing your uniform, you have every right to, because you are a U.S. citizen first.
But if you are in the military, you are actively serving, you are a soldier or a Marine or an airman, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless. It doesn't. Your military bearing is your military bearing, whether you're in or out of uniform.
So what is the problem with it, though? If they're there peacefully, being part of this protest, right?
Yeah.
Peacefully within constitutional guidelines, right? And not assaulting the Capitol, because her and her group did not.
Right.
They did not assault the Capitol. How is that outside of their military bearing?
Well, I don't. That's a good question.
They're not.
They're
not.
I know that. I think that's a slippery slope, man.
I don't see it as slippery. I mean, this is the difference of being, this is the difference of opinion.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that people in military should just be lemmings and just follow the orders rate of.
Well, and that was my next. That was my very next thing I was going to say to you. Is
know.
then you have to follow. But here's the thing: if someone gives you an unlawful order,
right,
it's on you to perform it or not. But again, different strokes for different folks.
Like, have you ever watched any of the presidents, like State of the Union addresses, right? So they're in the Capitol and they're doing the State of the Union, and they usually, I mean, literally, they have people that count the number of times people will do like a standing ovation and how long people clap. I mean, there's like all these stats around it, right? Well, if you ever pay attention, what you'll notice is the chiefs of staffs are all
the
front,
chairmen
right?
of the Joint Chiefs. They never stand
Right.
up. They never.
They
clap.
never stand up. They never clap. Why? Because
And nor does the Supreme Court.
Right, because they're supposed to be unbiased, right? Because they serve the country regardless of the political leanings. And to me, I find that incredibly respectful of our military service. And I'm not saying that people in military uniform don't get an opinion. I do believe that we all are entitled to our own opinions. But what I'm saying is just the same as those Joint Chiefs of Staffs are sitting there and they're not standing and they're not clapping, they're remaining unbiased. I think that's the way when we were in uniform, or when service members are in uniform, I think they're, regardless of the other political leanings, I think they should be impartial and be unbiased, at least present themselves as such, until they're out of uniform. Because I think that's because let's be honest, when you raise your right hand and you commit to serve, you are giving up some of your freedoms. Would you agree with that?
Of course, yes.
I mean, you are. You're giving
Slightly.
up, right? You're giving up some of your freedoms. I mean, you have to go where you're told, do what I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
Like,
but it's not unconstitutional. There is a point when you swear upon this Constitution to uphold it, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean you lose any of that. It doesn't. Period.
I agree with you, but you got people on both sides that are using the Constitution as a justification for doing what they're doing.
Well, but what? So what are they? Well, and you know what? In that person's head, then they're both right.
You're right. You're right, and that's the dichotomy.
And that's
right?
the dichotomy of all this. So,
That's right.
So at the end of the day, you have to figure out what. And unfortunately, sometimes it's the winner that gets to choose,
or the person that's the loudest.
So
Right.
in turn, we're in this big. I mean, President Trump was just impeached again. And
Right.
This is a few days ago, obviously.
I'm not.
I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but
I saw a T-shirt the other day that says, "I'm not arguing. I'm just explaining why I'm right."
right, exactly. And I don't have. I just have. I have pretty ingrained opinions on some of these things. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to. But no one has given me, like, I have this guy that I've been going back and forth with about freedom of speech, First Amendment stuff.
And it's not me; it's a different guy.
No, it's not you. It's and what I'm trying to convey is that I need people to see it, that both sides are doing this, and he's so stuck on the fact that Trump, his side of this is that Trump ordered the insurrection. He ordered his followers to go. I mean, that's kind of simplified way of putting it.
Sure.
I think what he's actually conveying is that the climate was set up to invoke this reaction, right? For people to storm the Capitol. It's like the nod, nod, wink, wink.
Right.
But yet, here's the thing. Unless you can prove that the nod, nod, wink, wink happened, he's well within his rights to free speech. And that he did not inflame the situation and invoke this insurrection. That, of course, at the end of the day, is on the individual that decided to do it.
No,
So,
I agree. I think that President Trump did incite the actions that happened in the Capitol. But
hold on. But before you go there, I just want you to tell me how.
I think that Trump is personally. I think he was an infectious disease on our country.
Yep.
I think that he abused his powers as the president. I think he could have done a lot more good than he did in his 4 years of office. I think he had the ability to do that, and he had, quite frankly, a lot of backing from a lot of people to do that. But I just think he kind of got. I think he got to let his ego kind of take control.
Yeah.
And he was more concerned about his. He turned it into a goddamn game show.
It's absolutely well. It's the saying, and I told you this earlier in the week, and I heard this on. I can't remember where I heard it from exactly, but Tim Pool has repeated it a few times. Is the left wants Trump to be Hitler because he's the Antichrist at this point, right?
Yeah.
The right wants him to be Caesar to come back and take Rome and lead, right?
Yep.
But we find out instead he's just a fucking Kardashian.
Exactly. You just summed it all up in that. In those
absolutely, and and I believe this is absolutely true. So, but my big thing, and this is what I'm trying to show people, and I need people to see this, that yes, Orange Man is bad. Trump did some shit that, it's not presidential, it's not whatever, but if you're going to, so people are coming at me about, so it's funny how people hide behind lawful interpretation when it suits them, but yet let emotion guide how the lenses that they see through. So everything is about Trump is bad. Trump incited the insurrection. But at the end of the day, I want you to take that to a court of law and prove it.
I don't think it's justification for doing what you did.
No. But what I'm saying is you can't have it both ways.
No,
your opinion can be of one thing. Your opinion can be that yes, he incited it. Number one, but can you prove it in a court of law? Because
hold on. He can incite it all day long, but it's the people that bum rushed the Capitol, that broke in. They made their own decisions. They have no ground to stand on to say, well, Trump made me do it.
Zero. Because,
I'm sorry.
No, they can't. Because if you take that to a court of law and you go through it, and Congress, folks, is not a court of law.
Right.
If you took it to a court of law and actually looked at the evidence, Trump never said, go storm the Capitol.
Right.
There is something that you had. And see, now listen, I want to make perfectly clear. I am not defending Donald Trump. I am not a fan. I think Eddie can attest with that on me. I am a fan of having no hypocrisy. And this is the hypocrisy of this situation, because there's plenty of people on the right that there's so many clips on CNN, NBC, wherever. Pick it. Go on the internet and type in comments made by left-leaning politicians to incite violence, and there's dozens of them then that will come up. But I've looked into most of these, and actually they don't incite violence. They're actually they go just short. It's a political fucking tool, folks. You're being played. You're being played by Trump, and you're being played by people like Maxine Waters. You're being played by these people that come out and say these things, but they don't cross the line, because if they did, they could go to fucking jail, and they know it. So they play it just to that point. But you can't say this is what one person did and then not look through it at the same lens to the person that just happens to agree with you politically. That's not how this shit works.
Right.
And if that's how you work, then you need to take a step back, humble yourself, and figure shit out, because that is what is ripping this country apart. It's people getting into this tribalist bullshit Because that's what it is. It's you being, if it's blue, it's good. If it's red, it's bad. If it's red, it's good. And it's blue, it's bad. That's the easy cop way out. And if you don't give a fuck about the country, keep thinking that way. Because guess what, folks? It's not black and white. It's not red and blue. It's purple or it's gray. That's what this shit is. Because opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and they all fucking stink. If you haven't figured that out yet. People are polluting the whole situation on both sides. You gotta stop playing into the hype. They're pitting you against each other on purpose.
Yep.
Because we the people means fucking something.
It reminds me of the elitists in the Capitol that are profiting and taking enjoyment from the death and carnage of those that are in the Hunger Games killing each other.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean?
It's every dystopian novel and movie incarnate. That's where we're headed. 1984, the Hunger Games, the Divergent series, the freaking Maze Runner. Jesus Christ, people, how do you not see this? They're trying to divide you because that takes our power away.
Right.
And you keep putting people in power that don't give a fuck about us or the country. They only care about their fucking pockets. Seriously, stop. I just can't state this enough. I'm not some freaking revolutionary person, but this is the other thing I'm going to say. Joe Rogan has a quote out there that is absolutely hits the nail on the head. And I know that there's a lot of people that agree with me. Millions of people agree with me. Hold on. I will pull it up. Some people already know what I'm talking about. See, I didn't want to go down this road for the show, but I guess since we're in the mode of Martin Luther King, I guess I'm channeling my inner Martin Luther King on this stuff because this is about rights. This is truly about rights, and it doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter what religion you are. So the quote goes, and I remember listening to the show that he said this on, and it hits the nail on the head. What is the number of veterans in this country? I mean, it's got to be more than 1 million. It's a lot. It's actually 21 million, but veterans of the last 20 years is somewhere around 11 or 13 million, something like that. So there are many people in this country that really understand violence, and they're not the ones calling for violence because violence is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
You and I have agreed on this a million times. They're not the punch the Nazi people. The people that really understand violence, that have seen violence, that have committed violence for their country, those are the motherfuckers that you break glass in case of war for. You need them, and people don't understand that. These people running around calling for violence, calling for revolution, you are going to open a door that you can never close. And when those soldiers and the veterans come pouring out of that door to defend what they think is an attack on their freedoms and their country, you're fucked.
Yep.
And I know you and I have talked about this. I've talked about this with many other veterans who just want to stay the fuck out of it. But if you come after me for my guns, for my speech, for my home, for my pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, if you come after me on that, insisting that I do this and saying literally that you're going to take me to a re-education camp, because, folks, you can say it's a conspiracy theory, but I can show you New York State law, a proposed law in New York State says specifically that. So if you come at me with those types of things, it's not going to be good for you. I'm not like Rambo. I'm not saying that. But there are millions of people that think this way, and we will hold the fucking line. You won't be able, your Antifa bullshit, your umbrellas with freaking M80s throwing at us, you can't break that line. And if we get to a point where we feel like we need to hold that line because you're literally trying to take the country away, it's not going to end up well for you. This isn't a threat. It's just the way it is.
Right, and no one man has the ability to do that.
No, absolutely not. So
anyone, right? So people that are like up in arms over one guy, Donald Trump, like, I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to be gone someday, and there's always going to be.
Well, he's going to be gone today. As you're listening to this is his last day in office.
Right. So there's always going to be others, right? But it really goes to show we have the power as the people to make a difference, and it's with our voting, right?
Yeah.
And we get what we vote for. If you don't, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, well, you know,
what was that post you made? That was awesome.
We limited the number of years that a president can serve and then people are like, well, we should do the same thing with people that are in Congress, right? Or in the House of Representatives. We should limit the number of years that they serve because of the same reasons. I'm like, you have the power to change that. You don't like who's leading our House or our Senate or our government, our local officials. Like, you have the power to change it. If you want to bury your head in the sand and do nothing, then don't bitch and cry and complain that things aren't going the way you want them to, right? And it starts with becoming, we talked about it at the very beginning of the show, it starts with becoming educated. Educate yourself, make your own goddamn decisions, and then do something about it. And I'm not saying grab up arms and go storm the Capitol.
No, not at all. That's just fucking stupid.
That is stupid. That doesn't do anything.
But trust me, again, if you have a real revolution, I'll be the one standing on that line in front of the Capitol, keeping you sons of bitches out.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Those people haven't even awoken yet.
Right.
Because they don't see it as, it's not quite, we're not at that point. But right. Who the fuck wants to get at that point?
Right. No.
Nobody. Because that's insane. It's insane.
So the man that kind of that we have a lot to learn from, Mr. Martin Luther King, born January 15th, 1929. Today, the date of this recording, it's Martin Luther King Day, which is why I have it off today, and you as well, sir. Yes. Vacation.
Yes.
So I dug up 10 things that you may not know about Martin Luther King, and
Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, I found this pretty interesting. So number one, I'll just, do you have the article?
Yeah, so we'll alternate.
I'll go number one. So King's birth name was actually Michael, not Martin. I didn't know that. The civil rights leader was born Michael King Jr. on 15th of January, 1929. In 1934, however, his father, a pastor at Atlanta's Ebenezer Baptist Church, traveled to Germany and became inspired by the Protestant Reformation leader Martin Luther. As a result, King Sr. changed his own name as well as that of his 5-year-old son. Pretty interesting.
It is kind of crazy. All right. Number 2.
Yep.
King entered college at the age of 15.
Damn.
King was such a gifted student that he skipped grades 9 and 12 before enrolling in 1944 at Morehouse College, the alma mater of his father and maternal grandfather. Although he was the son, grandson, and great-grandson of Baptist ministers, King did not intend to follow the family vocation until Morehouse President Benjamin E. Mays, a noted theologian, convinced him otherwise. King was ordained before graduating college with a degree in sociology.
And you can hear that in his speeches,
gosh,
right?
Yes.
That Baptist minister.
Well, it's just the ministerial thing. But you know what? A lot of that's natural, too.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
For
sure.
But
he grew up his whole life listening to that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Number 3, King received his doctorate in systematic theology. I don't even know what the hell systematic theology is. But after earning a divinity degree from Pennsylvania's Crozer Theological Seminary, King attended a graduate school at Boston University, where he received his Ph.D. degree in 1955. The title of his dissertation was, quote, "A Comparison of the Concepts of God in the Thinking of Paul Tillich and Henry Nelson Wyman." Wow. That's one hell of a thesis.
So, systematic theology is the discipline of Christian theology that formulates an orderly, rational, and coherent account of the doctrines of the Christian faith. It addresses issues such as what the Bible teaches about certain topics or what is true about God and his universe. And it also builds on biblical disciplines, church history, as well as biblical and historical theology. Systematic theology shares its systematic tasks with other disciplines such as constructive theology, dogmatics, ethics, apologetics, and philosophy of religion.
So instead of King just believing what he's been fed his whole life, he decided to go and formulate his own opinion about his God and his religion, his self.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds very, I don't know, that's very open-minded of him.
Right? Almost like he wanted to look through his own lens at the world, right?
It's amazing. It's
So
almost like we've been
funny,
talking
too,
about this all day.
The Ebenezer Baptist Church, in
Yeah.
Atlanta, that's also where the all right, so the Georgia Senate races that just happened?
Yeah.
So one of the guys that won, the Reverend Dr. Raphael Warnock,
Okay.
he was the senior pastor at that church.
Oh, okay.
And just got elected to the Senate. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Just kind of correlating how the world works in crazy little ways.
It's all connected.
Yeah, that was almost like we rehearsed that, the way that number 3 went together.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right, but we didn't, folks. We're just that good. You might not think so, but I do. So, number 4, King's "I Have a Dream" speech was not his first at the Lincoln Memorial. Yeah, I know that parts of that "I Have a Dream" speech came from a speech that he also gave in Atlanta, and was encouraged to, hey, tell the "I Have a Dream" stuff. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's like the story that you're sitting around a campfire and all your buddies are like, "Hey, remember that one combat story you keep telling?
Right.
Like, tell us that one again."
Or it's kind of like, "Hey, hold my beer, watch this."
Yeah, yes, exactly.
It's kind of like that.
Right.
So 6 years before his iconic oration at the March of Washington. At the March on Washington, King was among the civil rights leaders who spoke in the shadow of the great emancipator during the prayer pilgrimage for freedom, can't read worth a shit today, on May 17th, 1957. Before a crowd estimated at between 15 and 30,000, King delivered his first national address on the topic of voting rights. His speech, in which he urged America to give us the ballot, drew strong reviews and positioned him at the forefront of the civil rights leadership.
Wow. And number 5, King was imprisoned nearly 30 times. Wow. According to the King Center, the civil rights leader went to jail 29 times. He was arrested for acts of civil disobedience and on trumped-up charges such as when he was jailed in Montgomery, Alabama in 1956 for driving 30 miles per hour in a 25 miles an hour per zone.
Jeez, really?
Arrested for it, yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That might be racist. I'm just saying.
You think so, right?
I love the folks. Speaking about rushing the Capitol and doing shit like that, the best thing that you can do is to get arrested for acts of civil disobedience.
Right.
That right there, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you want to protest, don't smash shit. Just refuse to freaking move.
Right.
Do what, that type of shit. Civil disobedience. Because
go
he's
sit
like
in the front
chaining
of a
himself
bus.
to trees and doing shit like that. Like,
right.
Nonviolent. That's going to, violence is not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah,
It just
using
isn't.
white bathrooms, drinking from white fountains, riding in the front of the buses.
That's civil disobedience. So they
Right,
tell
this
you
is the
that you
kind of
can't
stuff,
do
yeah.
it. Just freaking do it.
Right.
That's the type of shit. Take lessons from these people that did it.
Yeah.
King narrowly escaped an assassination attempt a decade before his death. And on September 20th, 1958, King was in Harlem signing copies of his new book, Stride Toward Freedom, which if you've never read it, you should.
I never have. I'm going to have to do that.
In Bloomstein's department store, where he... Inside Bloomstein's department store, when he was approached by Azola Ware Curry, a woman who asked if he was Martin Luther King Jr. After saying yes, Curry said, "I've been looking for you for 5 years," and she plunged a 7-inch letter opener into his chest. The tip of the blade came to rest alongside his aorta, and King underwent hours of delicate emergency surgery. Surgeons later told King that just one sneeze could have punctured the aorta and killed him. From his hospital bed, where he convalesced for weeks, King issued a statement affirming his nonviolent principles and saying he felt no ill will towards his mentally ill attacker.
Wow.
Crazy. 7-inch letter opener.
Right? God, he's lucky it wasn't something bigger than a letter opener. Wow.
Whew.
Number 7. King's last public speech foretold his death. Hold on, I got this video playing in the background. All right, here we go. King had come to Memphis in April 1967 to support the strike of
It popped up on mine, too.
Yeah, right. I was starting to talk, and all of a sudden I hear this video in the background. Like, what? Bennett, your voice changed. King had come to Memphis in 1968 to support the strike of the city's black garbage workers, and in a speech on the night before his assassination, he told an audience at Memphis Temple Church, quote, "Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know that tonight, that we, as a people, will get to the promised land. And I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes has seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." End quote. And this is literally the day before he was assassinated.
Right.
Insane.
Number 8. Members of the King family did not believe James Earl Ray acted alone. Ray, a career criminal, pled guilty to King's assassination, but later recanted. King's son Dexter met publicly with Ray in 1997 and argued for the case to be reopened. King's widow, Coretta, believed the mafia and local, state, and federal government agencies were deeply involved in the murder. She praised the results of the 1999 civil trial in which a Memphis juror decided the assassination was a result of a conspiracy and that Ray was set up to take the blame. A U.S. Department of Justice investigation released in 2000 reported no evidence of a conspiracy. Of course it didn't.
Again, let's divert, blame and not take responsibility for this stuff. It seems to be the way that it's gone throughout history, and today's no different. Number 9, King's mother was also slain by a bullet. I didn't know this.
I didn't know this either.
On June 30th, 1974, as 69-year-old Alberta Williams King played the organ at Sunday service inside the Ebenezer Baptist Church, Marcus Wayne, boy, how do you say his last name? Chenault. Marcus Wayne Chenault Jr. rose from the front pew, drew his pistols, and began to fire shots. Oof. One of the bullets struck and killed King, who died steps from where her son had preached nonviolence. The deranged gunman said that Christians were his enemy, and that although he had received divine instructions to kill King's father, who was in the congregation, he killed King's mother instead because she was closer. The shooting also left a church deacon dead. Chenault received a death penalty sentence that was later changed to life imprisonment, in part due to King's family's opposition to capital punishment.
Because they did not believe in capital punishment.
Right. That's crazy.
I'm not a big one on capital punishment either. Just putting that out there.
Well, that's like my wife and I were talking about the other day. It's like it is worse punishment to literally do life in prison.
Yeah.
I think
also,
in a lot of cases, death is an easy way out, right?
I'm not an overly religious person by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not our decision.
Yeah.
Justice is, put him in jail. I
Right.
agree with that, but yeah. Anyway, number 10, George Washington is the only other American to have had his birthday observed as a national holiday. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed a bill that created a federal holiday to honor King. The holiday, first commemorated in 1986, is celebrated on the third Monday in January, close to the civil rights leader's January 15th birthday.
Right. So, which also means that every year we get to celebrate my birthday because I was born on January 17th. So,
See, what's funny, my mom's birthday is January 16th.
right. So we get to
Splitting
hop
the
on the
difference.
bandwagon. Right. So, all right. Interesting. So this article, if you're interested, you can go and check that out. It's actually History Channel so it's if you go to history.com, you will just search 10 things you may not know about Martin Luther King Jr., and you'll see an article that was released. That's where we got this information from. And it was written by Christopher Klein, Klein. Just wanted to make sure we give credit where credit is due. The original article appeared on April 4th, 2013, but it was updated January 14th, 2021. It's a great article, good information, and there you go. Now you know a little bit more about Dr. Martin Luther King.
I also urge you to go read the book Stride Towards Freedom, the Montgomery story. If you haven't read it, it's a really good book.
Is that available on Audible too? Do you know?
I don't think so. You know what? Maybe you should record it.
I don't know, man. I'm not a very good reading. Have you noticed?
I'm not either. I mean, I have read a couple audiobooks. Recorded them.
Right.
I just can't listen to it. And I don't know if other people can, but I can't. I'm not a fan of my own
Not a fan of your own voice?
of it. Yeah, I'm just not.
You don't put
because I
yourself
don't
to sleep?
read. I read, but I don't know, man. My brain is too something.
How do you do with listening to yourself on podcasts?
Well, because it's free form, it's different. It's not as annoying.
That's true.
It's if it's structured. And no, folks, I don't just sit and listen to myself talk. Neither does Eddie. But we do like to listen we do listen to the episodes because we like to see where we can improve and stop with the ums and the ahs and just try to improve our auditory,
Exactly.
stop saying things like,
or
at the end of the day.
At the end of the day?
50,000 times during an episode because shit is annoying. At the end of the day, that's annoying. Okay, folks? Yes, we know our own faults. We see them. And I've had people they're like, well, I love it, but,
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, I love it.
So calm the fuck down wellness.
Yes.
Talk to me about it.
So calm the fuck down wellness, folks. This is the new. So we have, if you've gone to our YouTube channel, you'll see a couple of meditations that I've done. And these are getting better. I've got, actually here, you can hear it. Can you hear that paper?
I do hear the paper,
I have
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. These are 4. 4 other scripts for different meditations to record and then edit and put to music and stuff to help you calm the fuck down.
Yeah, the first one you sent me, the audio, I was listening to it in my car on the way home and fell asleep and ran off the road.
Nah. Very funny. So there's things on there. So the biggest tool that it's on there right now, if you shit, do I even have it up there? I do have the URL, but nothing's hooked up yet. But you'll see here by the end of the week, by the end of this week, where this is Wednesday that this is being
20th,
released,
yeah.
by Friday we will have a part of the website and we will have the URL calm the fuck down.
Wellness.
No, I think it's just calm the fuck down.
Oh, you got that URL? .com?
No,
it's .us.
Yeah, it's calmthefuckdown.us, and it'll go directly to the page on the Change Your POV website, and it'll be all these different meditations. Now, the most important one is actually up right now because we're on Instagram as Calm the Fuck Down.
Yeah.
Or you can just go to our YouTube channel at Change Your POV, right? And it's called Coherent Breathing. And it truly is an amazing thing to help you just calm the fuck down. And if you do it, it's not, there's no overly crazy rules. Just sit down and sit with it and just listen to the instructions. I lay them out, and I lay out the biology behind it too. So listen to it and then sit there and let it just do it the way that it says, and it'll definitely lower your anxiety, all these things. It'll just help you calm the fuck down.
Yeah, it's like a guided meditation.
And so over the next few months, over the next few months, there will be more, over the next few weeks, there will be a bunch of more meditations added if you want to go down that rabbit hole. And then we will start also talking about wellness, overall wellness. So mind, body, spirit, physical wellness, maybe some stuff about diet, things that you can do to just be overall more healthy. So it just came out of this whole craziness with the riot and the storming of the Capitol and whatever you want to call it, the insurrection by the Trump supporters and Trump just being Trump. People need to calm the fuck down. They just do.
I agree.
So look in the mirror, calm the fuck down. If you want to, check us out at calmthefuckdown.us. And by the end of the week, it'll be there to take you to some tools that will help you calm the fuck down.
So what's the tagline? Is it let calmer heads prevail?
Maybe. That sounds like a good one. Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, whenever you're talking to somebody about whatever it is that you believe in or don't believe in, if there's an element of, what's the word, man? If there's a lot of emotion involved.
Oh God, it's so emotional.
Right? You're not going to get your point across. You're not going to be susceptible or receptive to any other ideas that conflict with yours. So, I mean, in order to even get into the place where you can have a dialogue, a constructive, what do you call it, discourse.
Yeah, you have to focus on having civil discourse.
You got to be in the right mindset. And the only way to get into this mindset is you have to actively put yourself into the mindset by which you're willing to listen with the intent of being influenced. Let me say that again. You have to actively put yourself into the mindset of actively listening with the intent of being influenced. Not listen waiting for your opportunity to cut in and give your side of the story, right? You've got to listen with intent of being influenced, meaning you've got to be receptive to being open to different opinions, and you've got to put yourself in the right mindset to do that. And the way you do that is essentially this calm the fuck down technique is incredibly powerful. And I got to tell you, before you and I met and you introduced me to meditation, I heard the word, just the word itself, meditation. I just thought it was
made you cringe.
Yeah, because I thought it was like, I'm thinking like Buddhist monks, like, chanting and some other shit. Like, honestly, I had no idea what.
Which we've actually gone and done, folks.
Right, yes, we have. But I mean, it's not that. And if you're unfamiliar with meditation or what it does, or what it is, or what it could do for you, then I challenge you today to open your mindset to meditation. Educate yourself a little bit in education. And it starts with, if you don't know what to do or how to do it, guided meditation is the easiest barrier of entry.
Sure. And
right?
You know what? If you need to reach out to me, I'll bring it into your life very easily and painlessly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this is something you do with your veterans, right?
Every day. I have multiple. I've literally at this point now helped thousands of veterans calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. The numbers are the numbers. Literally thousands. And they're better for it. And I've had literally, if I could get testimonials for the work that I do, it would be an amazing thing, but I can't. And I won't. It's just what I do. So at the end of the day, I guess you have to take my word for it. Or if you know a veteran that I've helped, then ask them.
Well, you've helped me, and I'm a veteran, so there you have it.
So
very cool. Well, this week, let's take a listen of our archive episode spotlight, episode 51, Transitioning Veteran Part 1, PTSD versus Moral Injury. Let's give that a listen.
That's exactly what happened in that situation. He had a choice to make, and rather than live with what he knew he wasn't going to be able to live with, he took action to fight against, at that moment, a thing that was abhorrent in our own culture. And that, we say honor, courage, commitment. These are our touchstones, our watchwords in the service, and things that the leadership beats into us. But yet we're supposed to set that aside, just because we're in another country, or the guy that we're seeing commit this atrocity is wearing a different uniform. We're not allowed to touch that. It's total crap. And so all this whole litany of different things that could happen, that Bennett's listing off, it could be something that you saw in combat. It could be something that happened back in the rear. It doesn't really matter. There are a lot of things.
Absolutely. I mean, it could have happened in training. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, there's things that happen on a daily basis that go against the grain, that goes against our moral code. And it used to be, not so much anymore, I don't think, without getting too political about it. I think we're a couple decades removed from an America that kind of shared sort of a common moral code. And now it's almost like it's every man for himself. Hey, it's okay. You believe whatever you want to believe to a fault.
Right.
I mean, if you don't, there's the old adage, if you don't believe in something, you're going to fall for anything. And I think what we're seeing now is the result of a few decades of that sort of thought pattern. And, people are suffering heavily because they're being put in positions where it goes against something that's so ingrained. It's not even necessarily a conscious thought, like back in the 90s when I was thinking about this, I really couldn't wrap my mind around it. I couldn't put words to it. I never really talked about it to anybody, but I knew that there was stuff going on that, I felt weird about things that I had seen or done in combat or in training, whatever, that I couldn't put a finger on it other than it just felt like my psyche or my heart was just broken.
So this was a topic that we covered early on episode 51, moral injury versus PTSD. And this was before you and I actually really fully understood. Like we knew deep down inside that there's like this concept of moral injury, but we didn't really know that was a thing until his name came up multiple times this show. But Dwayne France, who is a licensed clinical
mental health counselor, like studies this stuff, pretty in depth, and he like reached out to us and was like, and retired Army Sergeant First Class. So
yeah, so he reached out to us when he heard the show, and he's like, I need to talk to you boys about this this topic about PTSD and moral injury. And we got to really know him a little bit more and introduced him to podcasting, and that's when he started his show and really explored, basically this idea of veteran mental health and PTSD and moral injury, and has had great success. And he's done some amazing things with some pretty good-sized organizations kind of spreading this message. So huge shout-out to Dwayne France and all the work that you do. Hit him up on LinkedIn.
Didn't they just do a series for military.com?
Yeah, they did. So. They just wrapped it up. Yeah, really cool.
And he has a book. That's pretty good too.
It's got a couple of them.
Couple. Headspace and Timing, Veteran Mental Health and Combat Veterans Perspective, Military in the Rearview Mirror, and then Combat Vet Don't Mean Crazy.
Yeah, that's his first one.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, sir,
it's the Dwayne France freaking show. Right? Jesus Christ. How the hell did that happen?
Oh, you got to get him on here at some point and kind of talk to him about how.
Yeah, I've got a couple other people we need to get on too. A veteran, super smart veteran, who was a VA professional for years, is also a former monk. So we want to talk about meditation. He used to be a monk. Yeah. He was a monk. He has his. He's actively working on his doctorate now, but he also is a man of the cloth. He is an ordained minister and a combat veteran of both the Marine Corps and the Army. This guy's done enough. We have to get him on the show here soon. His name is Michael Kim. So we'll have to get him on soon. That should be a enlightening episode.
Right?
Yeah.
You had to say the least.
Yep. So
excellent.
So yeah, we're going to start doing some guest spots besides Karen's husband.
Yeah, right, yes. So. Kevin. Shout out to you, Kevin. I know you're listening to the show.
Kevin, Karen's husband.
Hey, come connect with us on Facebook. We got a closed Facebook group over at Change Your POV Squad. Come be a part of the conversation, and again, hit us up on any of the social media platforms. Let us know what you think of the show, good, bad, or indifferent.
Except for Parler now, because they're banned.
Right, yeah, and I think there's going to be more and more.
I do too.
Yeah, more and more platforms are going to be banned, but you can find us always over on changeyourpov.com. That's kind of our home base. They can't take that away from us, right?
Well,
or can they?
I mean, I guess they could, but I hope they don't.
Right. All right, man. Good talking to you.
Yeah, as always.
Have a great week.
You too. Until next time, folks.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Point of View podcast. Pull up a chair and get a seat at the table and be a part of the conversation. Connect with us over on Facebook at our closed Facebook group called Change Your POV Squad. Let us know what you think of the show, good, bad, or indifferent. We'd love to hear your thoughts.